Special counsel Jack Smith is seeking a narrow gag order to prevent former President Trump from attacking prosecutors, judges, and witnesses involved in his federal 2020 election interference case. The former president has repeatedly lashed out at his legal opposition in interviews and on social media. He has singled out numerous potential witnesses by name, including Georgia officials involved in his state trial. CBS News chief election and campaign correspondent Robert Costa joins us now. And Bob, what more do we know about this potential gag order, and how is the former president responding?
The former president is taking no caution when it comes to his public remarks about prosecutors or special counsel Jack Smith. In fact, Nicole, based on my conversations with Trump associates today, he is only likely to ratchet up his rhetoric in the coming weeks, especially as he faces a looming trial in Georgia and, of course, with these federal indictments. For former President Trump, this is political war, not just a legal war. That's how many of his advisors have put it to me in recent days. And you're looking now at a campaign that, while it is facing all of this incoming legally, still believes it can win the Republican nomination.
Yeah, well, in terms of that legal war that you just mentioned, we know the former president is getting a lot of attention for this interview that he had over the weekend. Let's take a listen to some of what he had to say about some of his upcoming criminal trials.
When you go to bed at night, do you worry about going to jail?
No, I don't really. I don't even think about it. I'm built a little differently, I guess, because I have had people come up to me and say, "How do you do it, sir? How do you do it?" I don't even think about it. These are corrupt people that I'm dealing with. They're destroying our country.
I mean, this was a very lengthy interview. You have interviewed the former president a number of times as well. I mean, what jumped out at you?
Well, NBC's Kristen Welker, who I've reported alongside on the campaign trail for many years, she spoke to President Trump at length at his Bedminster, New Jersey golf course, and they talked about the state of the campaign. And you see reflected in this interview much of the defiance you see in Trump on the campaign trail, although he is now being prosecuted for taking American democracy to the brink in the final days of his administration by having all these meetings with lawyers. The prosecutors at the federal level and the state level believe there was criminal intent in many of those conversations, and Trump's drive to stay in power, to prevent the certification of Joe Biden's election. And you see in the interview over the weekend on Meet the Press, a Trump who's processing all of this, but as he just told Kristen Welker in that clip, he's someone who's not really thinking about the possible consequences down the line. And prison would be something down the line, because regardless of what happens with convictions, should they ever happen for Trump in the coming months or year, his lawyers have already said he's certain to appeal, and this is going to be a protracted fight, to say the least.
You know, the former president also said that he made the decision to challenge the 2020 election. Want to take a listen to that portion of the interview?
As to whether or not I believed it was rigged, oh, sure. It was my decision.
So could this potentially complicate his legal defense, particularly in these two cases that are centered on the election, both in Georgia and federally?
May help the lawyers who are arguing that Trump was driving this and not them, that they were offering legal advice. If you're John Eastman or Ken Chesborough, you may say to yourself now, well, Trump's on record now in this NBC interview, not under oath, but at least publicly saying his decision to move forward with a lot of these ideas and strategies was his own. But what Trump said just now in that clip backs up my own reporting and others reporting that it was Trump who was the piston for all of these efforts in the final days of the administration. It was Trump.
Well, that's what he seems to be acknowledging.
Well, and I remember reporting on in November of 2020 when some people were saying maybe it's time to concede, maybe it's time to walk away, go back to Mar-a-Lago. He said, no, we're fighting it in the courts. And then when they lost in the courts, they decided to fight it by weaponizing the vice presidency.
And then just very, very briefly, while we are talking about Georgia, obviously this week, several of the defendants in that case are pushing to have their cases moved out of Fulton County into federal court. We know Mark Meadows initially tried this, has kind of faced some setbacks here. So what kind of chance do some of these other defendants stand?
Based on my conversations with lawyers, there's a possibility that some of this might be elevated to a federal level because it's complicated to be facing similar charges at a state level and a federal level at the same time. There's nothing to say that it can't happen. You're allowed to be prosecuted in different ways simultaneously. But we're really going to have to pay attention to what federal judges decide in the coming weeks. This is really going to take a few federal judges saying, we want these cases, versus it happening in Georgia. But as you know, having covered Fani Willis, the district attorney down there, for a while, she doesn't want to give any of this up. And so Georgia's moving forward rapidly.
I know the former president has suggested he may go that route too. So to be continued. Bob Costa, thanks as always
Thank you
for being with us.